Hey everyone. Okay, so I'm here. I am Tatiana, but I go by Queen T. And so the book that we are going to be discussing is A Love Between Another World. And this is a spinoff from my book, A Love Between Two Worlds. Love Between Two Worlds was a two-part series that I wrote. I originally wrote it with the intention of, hey Ebony, how are you, girl? I wrote A Love Between Two Worlds when I was still signed to a publisher, and I had this idea in my head for like ever. I always thought how cool it would be to find out what it would be like if the Grim Reaper fell in love. And so I decided to write this story. I presented to the publisher, he didn't want to touch it. So I ended up publishing it on my own, and I had such great success with part one that I ended up doing part two. And so from part two, I still had some underlying, questions that wanted to be answered, and I kept seeing the same thing over and over in the comments of what would happen, with the sister, so I decided to give her own book. And that's how A Love Between Another World was brought about. So pretty much with this book, I was able to tap into a lot of underlying questions that a lot of people had regarding Azrael, regarding Ashley, and also regarding like with Bettina and King, which is what the spinoff is. So this book series is going to be, once it's complete in its completion, another part is going to be coming up, and that's the fourth part. And the fourth part is basically everyone from the first three parts will be in it, but the main focus and basically protagonist of the story will be Azrael and Ashley's daughter. And I really enjoyed doing this book. It's almost done, and so I believe the book will be out, I'm hoping, in October. It all just depends on, with everything going. I am a teacher. Want to have a book about the other siblings? That's a great question. I really do think that she will have a book. I actually have her storyline together. I just been so super busy with work. I teach, and so remote learning has really just taken all of my time and all of my focus, and so I didn't even get a chance to really, write everything. But I do feel she will have her own book. I feel she has so much to say. I feel like a lot of other characters need to be touched as well. I was really happy with A Love Between Another World because I felt that I was able to touch on not only Bettina and King's story, but I was also able to tap into, the complex relationship between Satan and the mother. And with that, I had so many different ways I wanted to go about it, but I wasn't really too sure how I would be able to execute it. And so when I officially did, it was just like a breath of fresh air to finally get that story together. But yes, I do want to do another part with her as well. I feel she has a story that needs to be told, and so hopefully I will get to, get that together. Let me think, what else? I'm just trying to pull up all the questions, so just give me and bear with me. But let's see. Yeah, I had the questions, and I'm gonna have everything together. I'm thinking what else with as far as Bettina and King. Overall, out of the three books, I want to say that A Love Between Another World was the one that I enjoyed writing the most. And I say that because coming from, writing stories with complex themes, I usually just write urban romance and urban fiction. And so when I tapped into this, paranormal genre, it was something big for me. And so being able to explore with their relationships and the complex of their relationships, and also to see just how her powers evolved from, just being a minor cast member in the part two of A Love Between Two Worlds and seeing how it transitioned to hers. I like the whole dynamic of it. I love their love story. I feel like even though it had its, issues with King doing what he did, and I don't want to give everything away if you guys haven't seen it, but I feel with the way that King fought for their love, it was something that you see a lot but aren't really tapped. I'm such a big fan of, Black love and everything about Black love. So to see that being tapped in was just, something for me. So give me 1 second. I really thought I would be able to have all these questions together, and I really want to thank everybody for the love that you've shown. Being that with this genre, sometimes it's hard to really get people to really see that this is something that, for me, it was new. I knew that I wanted to tap into it, and I knew that with this genre, it would be hard to do it, but the love that I receive from you guys are so amazing. So I'm happy about that, and I thank you guys. So I'm just trying to log in so I can, and anybody has questions, I'm free to answer any right now while I get the questions and everything together. So there we go. All right, so I got the messages, and I'm gonna pull it up, and then I'm gonna hope that I could get a little bit more in depth with you guys. Okay, so I'm just going to answer the questions, and then if you have your own, feel free. Okay, so the first question is, what are some of the book's themes? I guess the main theme is just love. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do feel like Black love is so under. I feel when I originally stepped into the genre, I was constantly hearing people saying, well, these are what is making people tart, and people are writing about complex love stories and cheating and this and this and that. I knew that I wanted to try something different. I knew with Bettina and King, I really just wrote it with the whole expectation of wherever their story leads me is how I'm going to write it. And originally I didn't want to do as many twists and turns, but I felt I played it safe with part 1 and part 2. So when the spinoff came, I wanted to give it more of an idea so you guys can see how, just because we have some hiccups in relationships, you definitely overall love will rule. And that's one of the main themes that I had in this book, to make sure that Black love was something that was, very vocal. Even with Azrael and Ashley's love story, even with Satan and the mother's love story, they all had complicated relationships, and I feel like Black love was the theme that was overall portrayed. I feel like all of their characters, even though they have their, bumps in the road, all of them were very important in making sure that the whole overall book itself, navigated and continued to share that. All right, so to just help you. I'm very big on, when I originally sat to write it, I already knew the idea of how I wanted Azrael to look. I knew the idea. I feel like with African American stories, romance, fictions, whatever genre, I feel there's such a poor underrepresentation of, darker skinned women, natural curly hair women. I feel like with a lot of times you are seeing the same thing over and over. And so the thing that I love about my characters when I write them with the idea of making sure that authenticity is there. And I say that being a darker skinned woman, and I have natural hair under this Badu wrap, I just have to get my hair washed. I feel that the representation is not there. Before becoming an author, I was an avid reader. I'm still an avid reader. And imagery for me is a big thing. A lot of times when they're describing, the main characters of some of these books, I don't feel that it really speaks to me. I understand we are all beautiful in whatever shades and tones we come as women, but I feel it's such a lower representation of a curly natural hair, dark skin, brown skin, caramel skin. I feel like sometimes, you're portrayed with more of society's norm of what beauty is. And I wanted to really represent darker skin, natural curly hair, unapologetic females who love their self naturally and have men who love their self as well. And that's the part with all the complex that gives you. Yes, exactly. That's exactly how I see it. Making sure that you still have the depth and that overall tone of everything. Okay, what 3 words would you use to summarize this book? Black love personified. I say that because, like I said, every book that you ever get from me, the same theme will remain: Black love. I know a lot of people want to say, well, what about others? But I can only write from my experience. Yes, fro is life. My hair tomorrow when you see it will be in a nice fro. It's just, I'm a lazy natural. I've been natural for 11 years now. and I've cut and cropped and all this other stuff. And you know what? My next character that I'm writing for my paranormal, you guys are going to love, because she's going to be based on my visuals as far as with this whole journey. So I have some stuff brewing for you. What characters did you like the least in your book? Ugh. Each book is different. I guess for here, I guess I can say their sister who pretended to be the nurse. I think she was my least favorite character, but the way I wrote her, actually in her story, you're gonna see more of a little background of why she feels the way that she is. You know, we all have that. Yeah, I'm lazy too. I don't like doing anything to my hair, honestly. If I can just leave it in a bonnet or, leave it in a fro, I would. But I'm a 4B, 4C. So my hair coils on itself if I don't do anything to it, so I have to do anything. But I feel with my characters, you love or hate them. You have some that, once you're reading, you're trying to figure out why they do the stuff that they do. But I feel once I touch more on the brothers and sisters of Azrael, you guys will get a better understanding of why they're the way they are. And it's just right now, my thing is I want to have that completed for you guys. I want to drop as many as I can before I go back to school, which is in a couple weeks. But my next paranormal, honestly, is going to be late September, early October. And so for October, I want to drop at least 2 paranormals. And I love this story, but I feel I have so much more ideas, and I want to just move on to the next paranormal that I'm going to do. Did you come up with the title first for the books or after you started writing? For this series, I came up with this title before I even started writing. I had the idea, and to me, just the thought of love between 2 dimensions always was something that me, but when I started playing around with the wordplay, it didn't make sense. So when I did come up with a love between 2 worlds, it just fit perfectly. Each spinoff has a different title, but they all have that same structure of a love between. So with Bettina and King, A Love Between Another World, I titled it that way because I felt that because it was her own story, she needed her own title. And A Love Between Another World to me is her life of being a new mother, dealing with, postpartum, dealing with anxiety, dealing with not feeling that she's enough, and her husband being human. So for me, I felt like, tapping into depression and mental illness is her way of being in another world versus being between 2 worlds with Azrael and Ashley. I feel with a lot of us African Americans, mental illness and postpartum are things that we don't talk about often. So when I was originally writing her story, I knew from firsthand experience. My sister dealt with a postpartum with her first child. I know that with me, I have my, little episodes and bouts of depression every now and then. And I really wanted to tap into that just to make sure that it's okay to reach out. I feel we are, as a people, we feel that other modern medicines work better than actually. I'm all for, finding that happy medium. I feel with my depression, have my days, but I have also the time where I'm able to be vocal with someone. I'm so big on making sure that you get the help that you need. And so that's why when I wrote Bettina's, story of just having a baby, feeling, uneasy, feeling not appreciated, and basically her husband trying his best to get her out of this funk, but not understanding how to deal with her because, one, she's not human. He loves her, despite her flaws, despite not really knowing much about her upbringing or, things of, how to deal with a wife that is from somewhere else. And I feel I was able to tap into, their ups and downs and, her depression, her not feeling. And, I was able to really tap into that. So that's the reason why I named it A Love Between Another World. I describe Bettina and King's love story as love, a complicated love. Because as much as he wanted to really give her the benefit of the doubt and understand where she was coming from, he wasn't able to. And so he seeked, different guidance from her brother and, his sister-in-law, just trying to find out what's the best way that he can help. As a new father himself, he still has to work and still has to conduct business. And them having their own practice was something that I really wanted to tap in of how, relationships, despite, being together home, and then being in the workplace, and then all your issues just coming full circle. And so with their love story, you see in their different, stages of working together, not working together, of home life, his mother, just everybody having their 2 cents of what they feel their relationship should be. And so with them, even though they went through their ups and downs, I felt they found some balance towards the end of the book. Which scene did you write in the book that has stuck with you the most? Wow. Okay, so for this book, I'll say the scene that stuck with me the most was when they all went back to Aura. And if you guys don't know, I love Azrael. I feel like he not only is a great description or depiction of making sure that everyone around you, including your wife and your children, your brothers and your sisters, everyone is taken care of. And I feel with Azrael, he would give his last breath, which he did, to make sure his loved ones are taken care of. And I felt some of that rubbed off a little bit on King. Towards the end of the book, once, the climate peaked, and they, realized that in order for them to really defeat the odds, they would have to go back to Aura. And every time I write a scene where the characters do go back to Aura, I always try to make sure that the transitions are there, where you can understand that, through different magics and different spells, they, get to that portal. I feel when that specific scene happened that I'm talking about, they first went to the mother and then, got some help from Satan. And from there, they were able to find out, the person who they originally thought was behind everything had a bigger force behind it. Once they got to Aura and King, sacrificed himself to, basically make sure that his wife was great. That really pulled a lot to me, because for me, it was taking what I felt would make the climactic scene make sense. With that specific scene, Bettina having to watch not only her husband with someone else, but also having to, experience different emotions. Because remember, she just had a baby not too long ago, and she's still, feeding off of that emotions and still trying to get her, psyche to where it needs to. But then you have to watch your husband in bed with somebody else, and then learn that this somebody else is, your half sister. That pulled so much emotion from me, because I wanted to make sure that I did it justice. And, having the different, characters putting their 2 cents and working all the dialogue and transition, it really took a lot for me, and that is one of the things that I enjoy the most. But at sometimes I have my little thing like, I really wish I could have probably changed it, but it worked well once everything was said and done. And I do have more coming in the series. So I know that I have Marley Ray's series, which I plan to have in October, and then I'm going to have Ivana's. And then after that, I'm, working to try to introduce brothers and sisters as well. In between getting all of those, I do have other paranormals that I am working on. I have a Beauty and the Beast spinoff. When I wrote the paranormal shorts with the group, it really tapped into some other ideas I had. As a kid, I always liked the story, The Princess and the Pea. And so I'm writing a paranormal for that as well. But I do want to, this is my baby. It's so hard to say goodbye to them, because it's like, I look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of myself for actually sitting down and getting the emotions together. So I really want to end the series with 5 books altogether. And once that's said and done, I'm going to say goodbye to Bettina, Azrael, Ashley, and the whole gang. I feel it's time. I wrote this book in, last year, I believe. Yeah, last year. And so I feel I want to give them their justice and, send them off properly. But overall, I enjoy the series. Till this day, it's one of my favorites I ever wrote. It's the one series that really put my writing to the test. It's the one series that I was able to say that overall, I was happy with the end effects of it. So I'm going to say goodbye to them once I complete Ivana's story, as well as the brothers. It is so hard to leave characters behind, because I always think of, okay, I wonder what they're doing. The sad thing is, as much as I want to keep writing and writing them, it stifles my creativity, because if I'm stuck trying to find different, scenarios to get them in, it only does it not only does it stop me from creating new worlds and new, characters, but it keeps me in that state of like, oh my gosh, if I continue writing them, am I going to want to write somebody else? And that's the problem that I had. My first series that I wrote was not paranormal. It was urban fiction romance. And I only wanted to do a 2-part series, which I ended up doing a 3. And now I'm to the point where other people want me to continue. And it's like, I want to let them go because I feel like, 3 years has passed since that series. And I'm still getting people to ask me. It is, Ebony. It is. It's the hardest thing to say, especially for me. Asriel and Ashley really put me out there. I didn't, know so many people were so into paranormal. I just, wanted to write the story. My first paranormal is A Love Between Two Worlds. This is the only series that I've wrote so far. I do have other, outlines and things that I'm writing, but it's so hard sometimes. Like, once COVID hit, I had so many expectations to get so many books out. And then my job decided to do remote learning. And so every day I was by my computer. Every day I was teaching a class and I had no time to do anything. And so now that we're on our little extended break till next week, which will be my birthday on the 4th, and I'm so happy and I'll be enjoying. I've been just literally, breaking my keyboard and trying to get some stuff together. But overall, I love this series and I don't want to let them go, but I am. And so I'm still working on audiobook. A Love Between Two Worlds Part 1. I'm fingers crossed trying to get it out by the end of September. What happened is I had hired Jacoby DM, who I love, and he's so great. And he put so much emphasis in Azrael's character, but yay, September babies. Yeah, I had the same birthday as Beyonce, which always overshadows mine, but it is what it is. But so Jacoby DM did finish his part, and then I did hire another person to do Ashley's, and unfortunately things happened, did not hear from her, and so I am going to be recording that part. I finally have some time next week Saturday, so I'm going to be going in the studio to do that next week Saturday, and hopefully from there I'll be able to really get everything together. Once that, it has to be produced. The producer has to dub everything together, and then I can, have it ready to go. So that's something. So I wanted to do like a quick read aloud of a part in the book. I know some people have read part 1 and others read part 2. But being that I'm focusing on A Love Between Another World, I'm going to read from there. I'm going to read the first, I think it's a prologue. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to read chapter 1. And it'll give you basically the idea. Like I said, this story is dear to me. Probably my favorite out of the series, I hate to say. But I'm going to read the first chapter. And then I'm going to be posting later on some excerpts from some books that I'm working on. As well as I'm going to be giving away part 1, part 2, and the spin-off paperback to readers, just to thank you for, as much as the support and love you give me, I want to give it back. All right, so we're going to read chapter 1. Okay, chapter 1, Bettina Kasim, 2 months early. Baby, I don't know why you're so pressed to go to work so damn soon. I mean, boo, you just had Eclair 3 weeks ago, and you have a few weeks left on your maternity leave, Ma. Why are you such in a rush to return to work, baby? My husband King asked me for the 20th time today. I had just gotten off the phone with the HR department at our hospital, letting them know I was returning to work sooner than they expected. Looking back at King, I wanted to tell my husband the truth. I wanted to tell him that I wasn't feeling any type of bond, let alone a connection with our daughter. But I knew it would hurt him if I did. Opting to hold on to that bit of information, I placed a big fake smile on my face and said, Baby, I know I'm not due to return yet, but I'm starting to get a stir crazy from sitting in this house and having nothing to do all day. And besides, Eclair is half immortal. She is not like normal human babies. Our daughter can fend for herself and doesn't require me smothering her with attention every minute of the day. Shotting me a furious glare, King threw up his hands in frustration and exited out the room, heading for our master bedroom. Fine, babe. Since you don't want to listen to anything I'm trying to say to your stubborn ass, I give up, Ma. I give the fuck up, King angrily spat, finally leaving out the room. Closing my eyes and breathing in deeply, I focused my mind towards being stagnant so that I could tap into my husband's thoughts. I know he voiced to me numerous times not to do so, but at this moment, I didn't care. I needed to know if he was really this upset with my decision to go back to work so soon. Clutching my eyes even tighter, I began to hear the several rapid beats of his heart, beating wildly, and noticed the sudden rush of his blood boiling in a fit of visible rage. I don't know why she keeps testing me. I'm her husband. I don't know why she continues to make decisions without consulting me first. I mean, how much longer does she expect me to sit back and allow her to keep my nuts stored in her fucking handbag? The fuck? She wants to be the man in this marriage so fucking bad, I overheard my husband think. Fluttering my eyes back open, I wiped back the hot tears of shame and guilt that was slowly sliding down my bright red cheeks. Sobbing softly, I tried to compose myself the best I could before having to gather myself and apologizing to my husband. He was right. I was making big decisions without him, something I knew human men didn't agree with nor liked. Hey, boo. Marching into my bedroom to meet King, I hung my head low in shame, trying to muster up the right words to solve mine and King's marital dilemma. But the only thing I kept playing over and over in my head was the conversation I had with my sister-in-law, Ashley, the night before last. T, I love you, and you're my sister, but you need to tell your husband what you're truly feeling. Believe me, sis, he will understand. T, it's only right he knows that even though you're immortal, you're suffering from postpartum. It's normal. Us humans suffer from it with some pregnancies, and now so are you. Come on, T, don't be like this. King has a right to know, she said. I could still hear her words echoing in the chambers occupying my head, begging me to tell my husband. But I didn't tell him that night. I couldn't. Knowing now was just as good as the time of any to tell him. I entered my bedroom, nervous as fuck, about what he would do or say, or even if our continued disagreement would be waiting me. Pushing the large doors leading to our bedroom, I called out to King and was met with an eerie silence. King! King! Baby, where are you? I screeched in panic. Nothing. Dead silence. Spinning in my heels, I paced myself, taking tiny steps as I entered several different rooms in our large mini mansion in search of my husband. As my feet tapped on the hardwood floors of the second floor of my house, I struggled to accept that my husband actually walked out on me midway into our slight disagreement. Wah! Wah! As the sounds of my daughter's cries pierced through both my eardrums, I whacked back yet another series of tears as they escaped my already wet eyes. It seemed to me that since having Eclair, I would always find myself crying, non-stop, every day, around the same time, without a single warning. Coming, baby girl, I whispered, letting out a deep, agonizing breath. Mommy's coming, Eclair. Okay. So that was the first chapter, and that introduced you to the complicated postpartum depression that she suffered. And that was really something that I experienced, and I'm happy to say that it translated well in the book. And overall, I love the story, and I will continue to keep improving and bringing some new stories for you guys as well. So once I complete Marley Ray's, which will be in October, then I'm going to do Ivana's story, and then after Ivana, I'm going to be done with this series. Actually, no, I lied. Actually, yeah, after Ivana, I'm going to make sure that I have Ivana and the other siblings in that story as well, and then we're going to say goodbye to Azrael and the whole gang. But I thank you guys for taking your time to get to know me a little bit deeper with this book. Overall, I love writing paranormal. I found the niche in the genre that I enjoy a little bit more, and just the freedom of writing, out of the norm things is what keeps me writing these stories. And so October, you'll look for Marley Ray's story, and then I probably have some more things for October, being that it's Halloween month, and a lot of authors tend to write a lot of paranormal and supernatural things. And before I say and end off this live, be on the lookout. I'm writing urban paranormal thriller. And I say that because I'm a big in the genre of Scream and all those scary movies growing up. I'm an 80s baby. Yeah, Ebony, you definitely can. I'm an 80s baby, and we were big on Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and all those other things. And so I want to write something similar to that. So once I get all the details together, I definitely will be, sending some extras for you guys. But I will be giving away 3 books, the whole series that I have so far in paperback. And so I will be putting the rules on how to win it this evening. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for having me on the live, Ebony. I appreciate it. Bye, guys.